Whoa! It has been a while since I've done one of these. For those who subscribed to me way back when, and are still following this channel and haven't jumped ship due to the lack of content and overall poor quality of said released content, I used to do this thing where every weekend I'd stop and play a bit of Pokemon. I was playing Blue, but I never got to finish it. Now, why did I never finish it? Well, basically, at the time, my computer was imploding on itself when it came to recording things and editing. In particular, it was the editing aspect that was really screwing me over, and I really couldn't edit videos the way I would have liked. Basically, I couldn't speed videos up, I could not insert too many effects, or my editing softwares would implode upon themselves and just refuse to work, or in some cases, the editing software, for whatever reason, hated the video files and just wouldn't import them at all. So, yeah, but now that I've gotten I've figured out some ways to do things. Mostly, I've embraced post-commentary, because really it's the most effective way I can do things these days. I figured I can resume this series, and what better way to do that than to finish off a game I nuzlocked a long ass time ago, but never actually beat under the stipulations. Of course, this isn't a nuzlocke, otherwise I would have had some very unfortunate things happen very soon within this video, but we'll be seeing that. But yeah, I never got to the end of my Pokemon Crystal Nuzlocke, so I figured for the hell of it, I'll pick up at the end of the Johto region in Pokemon Crystal, so I can close off that chapter of my whole video recording thing career. Don't know what I'll do with Blue. I think I've still got the save file for my Blue ROM floating around somewhere, and I might be able to pick up where I left off. And I still have the videos that I meant to edit together but could never do backlogged. But we'll see. That just remains up in the air. But yeah, so resuming my weekend Pokemon playing, since I get bored. I've actually been slacking off in terms of video recording, because recently I just started college and I've been adjusting to classes and doing my work, but I think I've hit a point where I can balance out doing work and enjoying myself and recording videos. So I figured I can resume this and hopefully get back to doing Shining Force CD, since the reason videos haven't been coming out for that is not due to my computer not being able to record, just me being completely and utterly lazy. Now, before I get to my pseudo-drug-induced rambling that is common among the videos in this series, I figured I'd put on my intellectual facade and explain how things have been going in this run of Crystal, explain my Pokemon I'm using, what my team aspirations were, and basically just what I'm doing and what I plan to do. In terms of my team, it actually turned out not at all like I was hoping, and it was pretty much entirely due to the fact that I chose to play Crystal instead of Gold, because basically one of my team members was tossed up between 3 different Pokemon. Those Pokemon being Magmar and Girafarig, I think it is, or whatever, however you want to say it. Let's say Girafarig, just to sound cool. My original plan for one of my team member, the Pokemon at the bottom, Sauce, that was originally going to be a Magmar. But if you know about Crystal, you know that some of the Pokemon locations got changed around, and Magmar in particular got a pretty significant change of location. He got changed to Mount Silver, which is the final dungeon of the game. So, yeah, I don't think I want to go that long without a complete team. And Girafarig actually does not exist at all in Pokemon Crystal, so that was out of the question. Now, from there, I figured, well, I can pick up a Pokemon Ice Path, since Ice types are always cool, and I've kind of wanted to use one. I thought about using Swinub, but since Mamoswine doesn't exist in this generation, I didn't really feel like going with it because all around, Piloswine is kind of lackluster. So I picked up a Jinx. The sauce is the Jinx. And now I've basically got my team rounded off. Everyone else I planned on using, and the way I planned on working it is I was going to have Kurt, my Poliwrath, be one of my special attackers, but he doesn't really have very good special attack for a water type. I mean, I know Poliwrath has fairly decent special attack, but I think the way Kurt's stats in particular ended up working out, special attack was not one of his fortes. It's decent, and he's got stab water typing, so it's okay, but he's more of a physical attacker, which is why I have return on him. Also, this Girafarig right here, I make a bunch of bad plays against it. A lot of it comes down to bad luck, but also this thing just loves screwing me over. But yeah, Kurt didn't really turn out like how I expected, but he's still good. And later in this video, he learns Submission, which is a good stab fighting mood. Basically the fighting equivalent of Takedown. But as you saw there, I was going for a Fury Cutter combo with Malik, my pincer, but Stomp kept flinching him, and he was dying. For some reason, that Girafarig baton passed, even though all its party members were dead. Then I made a really dumb play and sent out Kurt. But it seemed like it was gonna work out. I mean, I had return, and it was a 2-hit KO from there. But, of course, Confusion, which doesn't confuse Pokemon as much as you think it would, confuses him. It's only got a 10% chance. Kind of a misleading attack name. So then I make an even dumber move and send out Regal, my Nidoking, and Nidoking is Poison type, so he's also super effectively hit by Confusion. And he's also confused, so yeah, my luck was just insanely bad here. He ends up getting KO'd. So then I send out my Pidgeotto Fourier, who I was hoping by the end of this would have evolved into Pidgeot, but it didn't work out like that. But yeah, that was awful playing on my part. Now, I think I was just done explaining how Kurt worked. Let's talk about Fourier, my Pidgeotto. Pidgeotto, or, well, Pidgey in particular, is one of those common Pokemon you see at the start of the game, but no one ever really uses it. I know I never used it, so I figured, hey, why not? It was decent for a while, but not having evolved into Pidgeot while all my other team members are fully evolved is kind of taking its toll. I thought it evolved into Pidgeot at level 32, and then it didn't. And then I thought, well, does it evolve at level 44? And it doesn't. So it evolves at level 36. It's just one of those Pokemon that I can never get the evolution levels down because I never use it. Had the same problem with Poliwag when Kurt was a Poliwag. I thought he would evolve at level 20. Turns out he evolves at level 25. But yeah, Pidgeotto, it's a decent flying type. It's got wing attack and fly, so it does what it's supposed to do well, which is counter grass types and other things that flying types are effective against, like Bug. Regal, my Nidoking. He was actually supposed to be my premier mixed attacker, but due to things that were, both due to the rather poor mechanics of the game, and just due to things that were out of my hand, he ended up not being anywhere near like I had intended for him. Originally, I planned on having him with Fire Punch, Thunder Punch, Earthquake, and Sludge Bomb. Turns out, even though he's a poison type, he can't learn Sludge Bomb. He can't learn Dig either, which is weird, because practically any physically oriented Pokemon can learn Dig. But apparently not the Nidoran and male and female lines. And then it turns out that only no one besides Kurt and him could learn Surf, and I try to avoid having more than one HM on any particular Pokemon. So what I had to do was make Kurt forget Surf, so he could have Waterfall, and then put Surf on Regal. So now Regal's more of a special attacker, and it's not too bad because Nidokings have good physical and special attack. It's just now he's not as good as I had originally planned, and kind of redundant with my Ursaring, Pinnacle, because Pinnacle actually has pretty decent special attack, as well as better physical attack than Regal. So Pinnacle would probably be better for fulfilling the role of mixed attacker, but oh well. Pinnacle is a bit of a better defensively oriented Pokemon, and it gets stabbed from normal type moves, so it has its own niche to fill. Basically, if I just keep the movesets varied, they'll both find their uses. Sauce was my last minute addition. I didn't plan on using her, but she's basically just my ice type. It's going to be a while before I can get any psychic type moves on her. Well, psychic. Because Jinx can only learn psychic as a Smoochum, and the only way you can get Smoochum in this game, aside from breeding, is if you luck out and the egg you get from the daycare couple happens to be a Smoochum. It wasn't. It was an Igglybuff, for the record, which is probably the absolute worst Pokemon you can get from that egg. But she's got Ice Punch, decent speed, excellent special attack. Probably going to be my main method of dealing with Lance, which I guess works out for me. Malik, of my Pinsir, he's basically my premier physical attacker, as you'd expect from a Pinsir. Very bulky, good physical attack, decent speed, and decent special attack, actually, if you like the idea of having a variety of attacks on your Pinsir. I just go with standard strong attacking moves. I don't have a lot of options for Pinsir because this is the 2nd gen, and the movesets are really terrible at this point. But yeah, the reason I chose Pinsir over Heracross, who is pretty much superior to Pinsir in all regards, unfortunately, is because, well, for one, a while back I used Heracross in a playthrough that was just for fun, and Heracross is really powerful. It was one of my most reliable Pokemon, and I've pretty much had no trouble when using it. And second, Pinsir is just a Pokemon I've always been interested in using because it's got really good stats, and it's really a good Pokemon. It's just poor moveset of the 2nd generation, and this Espeon pissed me off because it used Confusion, and then used Psybeam, so lured me into a false sense of security, and then just smashed my hopes. But yeah, that's my team for you. Nowhere near what I envisioned, and it was mostly due to the fact that I very poorly planned this out beforehand, but I was still kind of caught off guard by the fact that a Nidoking can't learn Sludge Bomb, even though it's a poison type. But I do teach Regal Earthquake because he gets Stab, which means he would probably get the most effective use out of it. Stab actually makes a pretty significant difference. Came over here to see if there was a place to heal, but there wasn't, and there wasn't a hidden item either. Unless there is, and you need to use the item finder to get it. But yeah, all in all, even though it's not what I was hoping it would be, my team is still pretty good. I haven't had a game over yet, so it's going pretty strong. And hopefully Fourier will evolve. Well, actually, Fourier is definitely going to evolve soon because I need to do a little training for the Elite Four after this. You know, standard, get everyone up to level 40 by grinding in Victory Road. Other than that, that's basically my team. Pretty effective, I like it. All these Pokemon are really cool, all things that I've wanted to use at some point. Poliwag is actually a Pokemon in particular that I've wanted to use for like years, but I've never had the opportunity to. Or when I did, I just didn't think of it. Now, this Blastoise is using Curse, which is a pain in the dick if you let it build up too many. So I decided to go for the Dynamic Punch. Dynamic Punch is a really interesting move. It's got accuracy that I think is like 55 or 50, so basically, essentially a 50-50 shot of whether or not it hits, but it's got high power and it's guaranteed confusion. And I did hit, but it didn't matter since I criticaled with Strength and killed the Blastoise anyways. But Dynamic Punch actually got a pretty significant buff up in the 3rd gen for Machamp with the introduction of the ability No Guard, which causes both Pokemon in a battle to get 100% accuracy for their moves. And of course, Machamp would just Dynamic Punch you and pretty much would just confuse you and have a pretty solid defensive guarantee. I used Guillotine there for shits and giggles, and fun little thing or tidbit about Guillotine for me in this playthrough is I've only used it twice, and both times it's a hit. For those of you who don't know, there are a few instant kill moves in Pokemon games. Guillotine is one of them. They have 30% accuracy, so roughly a third of the time they'll hit. If you have a move like Mind Reader or Lock On, then you get a guaranteed instant kill, which is actually a pretty cool strategy if you can pull it off. Me, I just have to rely on luck, since I don't think those moves are available to a lot of Pokemon in this generation. I think Lock On exists, but doesn't really have not a lot of Pokemon have access to it. Here, Kurt learns Submission, which is an awesome fighting type move. It's basically the fighting type equivalent of Takedown. I forgot, I chose to get rid of Ice Punch since Sauce pretty much has me covered in that regard. I never really planned on adding Sauce, so that's why I had Ice Punch there in the first place. I was trying to check out the power of Submission here, but I kept forgetting you have to go to the Moves menu to see it. That's pretty cool. 80 power, which I think is stronger than Takedown. Now here's Parasect, and I try to go for Guillotine again, just for the hell of it. I could have strengthened this thing to death, but I didn't really feel like it. Gets up a Swords Dance and starts slashing, and this is a testament to how poor Parasect's attack power is. That did barely anything. But it got a critical on the next turn. The funny thing about criticals in the early generations, and I think it still applies in the second generation, they actually ignore all stat buffs and debuffs, so that critical did not benefit from Swords Dance. At least I think that's how it works in the second generation. It definitely looked like that in the first generation, because the first generation was buggy as all hell. Down with the Golduck. Golduck is cool. I once, when playing through Gold, one of my many playthroughs of Gold, I played the hell out of that game. I used a Golduck for the entire game. I was one of those kids who just took one Pokemon and stuck with it through the entire game. Usually Typhlosion when playing Gold, occasionally Feraligatr, and almost never Meganium, because you have a rough time playing through this game with Meganium. It is weak to so many of the big bosses. Kinda feel sorry for it. Let's see, what do we have here? We've got a Rapidash. Rapidash is okay. I was actually kind of interested in using a Ponyta and Rapidash. I don't think I've ever used them. Maybe in a playthrough of Diamond and Pearl, since it's one of my only options for a fire type in that game. I switch up Waterfall and Rain Dance here to avoid the problem of ever accidentally using one over the other. Fire Spin was a move that belonged to moves that were really weak, but still hilariously broken. The moves were Bind and I believe Wrap. And basically when they trap you, they hit you consecutively and you can't do anything. So if you had a particularly fast Pokemon that was powerful and had these moves, you're basically screwed. Did a doubly so if that Pokemon increased its accuracy. God help you if it increased its accuracy. I haven't really stocked up on any items here since I didn't really see the point. I was just going to do it at the Elite Four. You know, the gate check in the first game was kind of pointless, but I just kind of like the idea of how they checked for each badge individually. I think in Heart Gold and Soul Silver they turned this into a really stupid puzzle where you have to choose between one of these items, but it doesn't really matter because you can just leave the room and reset the strength block pushing puzzle for it. I know that that's the case in one game. I actually remember a fair deal about Pokemon, but I can't be expected to remember everything. course, it's when I want to call on this encyclopedic knowledge, it escapes me. How tragic. There's Graveler with his weird boob grabbing animation. Just to say, I fucking love Ursaring's front sprite in this game. It's basically air guitars, which I just think is hilarious. Speaking of Ursaring, I decide to give this HP up to Pinnacle, because she is my second bulkiest Pokemon after Kurt, and I kind of want her to have the bulk over Kurt. Kurt is more for just all-out attacking, and since he's got Submission, he can do quite a bit more. I actually wasn't sure if Poliwrath learned any good moves after it evolved. A common problem with stone evolutions is that once they evolve, they don't learn any moves. Especially bad with Pokemon like Ninetales and Arcanine. Here's some irony for you. Right after I apply a Super Repel, I run into a random encounter. How hilarious. There's not much I can do about it since, I guess you wouldn't say I'm low-leveled, it's just, once you hit the end of Johto, there's a sudden level spike. That's one thing about the second generation, was not very well balanced in terms of levels and difficulty. Because the overall region is really easy, but then towards the end, levels of enemies tend to spike. Here I teach Regal Earthquake because it gives them a very good physical move. Kind of upset I had to give up Iron Tail, but oh well. A stabbed Earthquake is always a nice thing. Earthquake is pretty much one of the best physical attacking moves ever. 100 accuracy, and I think it's 100 attacking power, isn't it? And 10 PP, it is a fantastic move. Stab and super effective, it is just ridiculous. Now, here's a Sneasel. So I send out Kurt to do one of my favorite things to do. A 4 times effective fighting move on the exceptionally frail Sneasel. For some reason it tried to Fury Cutter, which wasn't even effective against Fourier, and I don't know why I'd expect to be able to get up a good number of Fury Cuts. Whatever. I guess it knows something that I don't. Here's Golbat, and Sauce would probably do better, but I taught Regal Thunder Punch, so I'm going to use it, goddammit. Regal really got shafted by how my team ended up turning out. It was going to be really different with Magmar and my planned moveset for Regal. And even with Girafarig is a significantly different Psychic Pokemon from Jinx. In fact, Sauce is pretty much functioning as an Ice type since I don't have any Psychic type moves for her. Kadabra. Pinnacle has a better strength attack than Malik due to Stab. Very powerful strength. You know, based on the animation, I always thought Strength should have been a rock move in these generations because you throw a giant rock, which is probably why they changed up the animation quite a bit in subsequent generations. Earthquake. 4 times effective. Oh, I love 4 times effective attacks. They fill me with a sense of glee. Sus. Meganium, prepare to be Ice Punched. I have Sauce equipped with the Never Melt Ice for especially effective ice attacks. Sauce has pretty good speed, so I'm hoping that she will be a very big player in the Elite Four. Yeah, I hit with a Future Sight attack there. Future Sight is an attack I never really saw the appeal of, and I don't think a lot of other people do. It's basically a fairly average attack that doesn't really have any typing, I don't think. That hits after, is it 2? I think it's 3 turns. It's when it strikes again, when it actually hits. Whatever the case, it's not very good. Might have some competitive application, not sure. But that's pretty much all I'm going to do for now, so I'm going to call the video here. When we come back, I'll have all my Pokemon up to level 40, and I will be ready to take on the Elite Four. So until then, here we are, Indigo Plateau, see ya.